Here's my next project. Coming to work today, guys coming out of the driveway and jumped on my brakes. Flipped the battery right out. Anyway, that's a battery box. And it's pretty chewed up. So I'm gonna see what I can do about getting it out of here. I don't know what's holding it in. Maybe I'll just take the whole thing right off the firewall there. Yeah, looks like it's got a clamp there on one end. Anyway, I knew I needed to make that battery box, so I got some sheet metal here, and I'll try to make myself a good one. No fun getting that out. I had to cut a bolt off up in here, and it looks like this bottom plate here looks like it's welded to this right one and just clamped to the left one. There was another bolt up in the top here that was kind of a trick to get out. These were alright, they were studs. This one was a stud, but that one they had a bolt running through the other way and it was turning on the inside. So I don't know what's actually holding this together. Looks like this was part of a clamp system. I can't see any welds in it. It might be just rusted and clamped. Anyway, I'm gonna measure it and see how big it is, and then see if I can make a plate here. There was a guy, Fitzy's Fabrications. He's a really good sheet metal man, and he showed how to make a battery box with dimples and round corners and all kinds of fancy stuff like I've got here. But I'm not gonna really worry too much about that. First thing, I'll see if I can get this thing apart. I got that separated. This had a few plug wells in it. Anyway, I got it drilled out. Separated this piece. Looks like the other one, just a bolt. So I'm going to put this in deruster and see if I can't clean it up while I take that other one apart. Basically, this one's the same deal. It's been welded in there 3 places. This was a thing that slides in here and clamps down. I'm sure that had something to do with holding the battery down. So the only way to get it in is slide it. So this is holding on to the battery box. And that's a fairly complicated shape that I don't really feel like taking all day making it. I was just going to put a square box in there and put some edges on it, make it out of stainless steel. Wasn't planning on trying to duplicate this, and it's really rusted up too bad to just try to patch it. What I am going to do is I'm going to take it over there and see if I can't drill this out and unhook it from this body bracket. Could just cut it right through here, weld it onto another piece, leave that alone. That part up there is pretty strong, but again, we've got a lot of work and welding and grinding, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. Decided to clean that up as it was. I cut that little piece of the tray off. I put it back on the car here. I've got a big piece of sheet metal, stainless steel, and I'm just going to make a tray that goes all the way across there. Just weld it in, and then I'll put my battery in it, and I'll probably just use a couple pieces of angle iron to hold the battery in one place. Looks like that right one needs a little straightening. It looks kind of low. And that bolt I cut off the top up there, I'm going to have to try to knock it out and weld a nut on it or something. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but it's probably good enough mounted like that, but I'd rather have it more solid. The other side is real overkill. It's got 2 bolts in the side and 1 up on top. And this one's only got 2 bolts in it, period. Might be 3 in it. So probably ought to do something about that. But anyway, I can measure my gap there and put a stainless steel plate in it, see what that looks like. Got this radiator core support. It's dimpled. It's real thick metal. It's a lot thicker than this stainless steel. I'd rather keep it to use for body panels anyway. It looks like it's going to be cut right here, like a 1/2 inch on either side of this dimple. That'll fit into my thing, and this is about 10 inches, no, 9 inches or so. Lost my tape measure somewhere. And this shows it's what's that, 13, 14, 15, 16, so it's about 8 inches wide. So it's going to be right there at the edge of that dimple. I can put that dimple down. That'll still give it some strength. I can just cut it right here across this part, and about 1/2 inch past that. So I think I'll use this piece of metal. It's already got some strength made into it. I may have to straighten it out a little to get it perfectly flat, but I think this will be a better choice than this thin stainless steel. And Well, we'll measure it good and cut it out and see what I got. That's pretty good. That fan shroud fit in there. It's fairly straight. I'll have to see what how big that battery is, but it looks like it's going to be plenty strong, and I can weld it there on this part on the bottom, and cut off that big round thing there. It actually don't look bad like it is, but no use having that if I don't need it. So kind of looks like a fairly good deal there, and it should be pretty strong. Start measuring some battery and see how much of this I need to cut off. There's the easy way to do it. Just put the battery on top of it. It looks like it's right even with my groove on both sides, and the front of it's right at the edge of the lip. The back of it sticks out a little, but it's sitting in the little groove here, so that looks pretty solid. You know, I might be able to cut that round piece off and put that towards the back of the truck. So it's not sticking out so much in the front. I guess it'll clear my hoses and everything all right. I'll cut it up some more and see what happens. Well, that looks pretty good right there. The edge of the battery will be right there on that lip. And right up close to the end of those bolts sticking out of the firewall. Of course, I don't want that battery rubbing on a bolt, so I probably have to put some kind of a little bracket in the back, a little piece of angle iron or something that would stop it from going any further back. And I could trim up the edges here, the corners, and then bend that lip down. And that got rid of my curve. If I put it in this way, then it'll stop the battery in the front good. But it don't really have anything to keep it from falling forward. And of course, if I put it in the other way, it doesn't really want to have nothing to weld to. As it is, I can weld it to these channels right here. I can just tack that on there, and this will keep me 1.5 inches off the front of that battery. I mean, off the firewall, and the battery will be right in the front of this cut. I have to think about that a while. Looks like that might be the best way to do it. Because that'll keep the battery well away from those bolts in the firewall. They'll rub a hole in it real quick. Battery tray all primered up and drying. I welded it pretty good here on the back, a few places, and a couple more in here. See in the corners there. I welded 3 or 4 places on top, and 3 or 4 on the bottom, so it's plenty solid. And I put a bolt in up here. I just tack welded that bolt in there. It's not flush, of course, but it should just mounted that top kind of solid. It'll be tweaked a little, but I really don't care too much. I was gonna clean up all this area here and prime it, but I discovered today that the heater core's leaking, and I'm sure that those bolts right there are what hold the heater core in. So I'm going to have to pull this battery tray out of here again anyway. Rather than mess with it, I'd just go ahead and put it back together, primed like that. And then when I get the heater core fixed, I'll go ahead and prime all this area here. But for now, I have a battery box in it. There it is, in all of its glory. I just put 4 bolts in it. I didn't take my top corner or that bottom one there. I didn't get them real tight, but the box is plenty solid. I can't even wiggle it. Now I stick my battery in it and figure out some way of getting some mounts into that.